My name is Frank, and I'm now sitting in Germany, in Hohenlinden, which is a little town very close to Munich. And I live in this house with my wife, Gundi, my two daughters, Elia and Marie, my son-in-law, John from Costa Rica, my mother-in-law, and my grandmother-in-law. And my grandmother, she turned 100 2 weeks ago. So we have the whole family in one house, and this gives us a lot of opportunities to practice NVC every day. Yeah. And in fact, to have two daughters who are now 16 and 19 years old, this gave us about 15 years ago, I guess, the idea to connect with nonviolent communication by we were taking part in a parenting course and decided to give parenting courses too, and that was the reason why we came in contact with this. And in fact, my wife grabbed it up very easy and very fast, and she wanted to have it in our family, this way of dealing with each other and talking to each other. And but I refused in the first place. I didn't want this because I had the idea she wants to use NVC to win, and I very fast found out that how much effective it can be. So I told her that she's not allowed to talk to me in this way. But then I saw how she dealt with our daughters and how things have changed, not in terms of that they are tidying up the rooms faster or stuff like this, more in terms of how their relation changed. So I was curious, and I went to, first place I read Marshall's book secretly, because I didn't want my wife to win, so I read it when she was asleep, and then I found that I liked this book, and then I went to workshops, and this was the beginning of this way of getting in contact with NVC. And by using NVC and learning NVC in our family and with our children, it was growing more and more. And we decided to give workshops, and after about 1.5 years of getting in contact with NVC, we found a program that is called Giraffentraum, which is a program that brings NVC to kindergartens. And this program it was a program in the beginning, and then we wrote a book in German. It looks like this, if you can see it. And this book is translated into Korean, Dutch, and into Polish. Yoo-hoo! And now it's quite a big program in terms of NVC, bringing NVC to kindergartens and to schools also. So I got some experiences how to bring NVC there, how to deal with this, how to deal with teachers, what teachers, staff of kindergartens, what they really need, what parents need, how can we help, how can we support parents by using this NVC in their families. And then I was working for 10 years in a school, in a gymnasium, which is a lyceum, I think, in Czech language. And I was working there for 10 years to support teachers how to deal with this job of being a teacher and with a pupil and the parents and so on. And these are all experiences I have it with me, and I want to share with you now and on the IIT. So that's about me. And I still have no idea who can really hear me and who can talk, but I would like to know from about, let's say, 3 or 4 people, what would you expect? What's the reason why you are in this webinar, and what's your interest in being here? So who would like to tell something? If you want to say something, then first of all, like Ina and Camilla, it would be helpful if you contact your audio and Lucy as well. And then if you want to say something, you unmute. It's on the mid of your screen on the far right. There's a symbol for the microphone.
Hello, it's Vladimir. Can you hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Great.
Who said it?
Can I have a...
I could hear you, now I cannot hear you again.
Vladimir, we heard some words, but then it stopped.
Yes. Lucy, my wife, and we started with our friends at school, and relationship between people who are in the school, and we run it as democratic school inspired by Sudbury model, and communication with kids. And special little kids, like we have the smallest kids.
Vladimir, I'm sorry, I didn't.
I'm sorry, I
understand the full sentence. Yeah, it seems to be a very bad.
We are interested to know how you do NVC with small kids.
Oh, okay, so what I got is the question is, I heard something that you and the wife are doing something in the school, and that you're interested in how can NVC work with very small children. Something like this? And very small, I did not hear the exact age of what you described as very small, but I'm very open to share some ideas about how to deal with kids, let's say under the age of 3 and from 3 to 6, something like this. Is that, I don't know if you can hear me, Vladimir. Okay. Is there anybody else who wants to share something? No. Okay. So I still hope that you can hear me properly, or hear me at all. Eva, can you hear me? Am I alone? Marie?
Yes, I can hear you, Frank. Yes.
Great. Marie, do you want to say something? No. Okay. Okay, then I change the program, and instead of asking you, I tell you something. Yeah. Yeah, the things that's interesting for me is I just take the part of the question I got from Vladimir about how can NVC work with kids, with very young kids. For me, it's interesting to see, first of all, to see what is, let's start with observation. What are kind of the competences that kids and in certain ages have? And coming from these competences, we can also spend some energy on how can they, what needs are in the main focus of them. Of course, in terms of NVC, we know that all human beings have the same needs. And on the same time, I would say that for some certain ages, some needs are probably more important than others to be fulfilled in the first place. Okay, so let's start with these different ages. When we talk about kids who are under 3, so newborn babies, toddlers, I think is the name, and kids before they usually enter the kindergartens, the thing that they have is that they are in an age where they learn language. The words that we use, the words that adults use, have until the age of around about 2, I would say, not that much importance. It doesn't really matter what kind of words you tell them. The more important thing is what is behind all these words. So what energy, in terms of NVC, what feelings are coming across when you say something. And for all of you who are parents and who work with kids, you probably know that whenever you are clear inside, then your message goes very clear to the child. It will understand you and usually also follows you. So whenever you see, for example, something which is when there's a danger, a real danger, and you see it and you express this, that there's a danger, the kid will stop doing something or follow you and all these things. So the way you communicate with kids at that age is that you're very clear, very precise on what your feelings are and how you express them. The language of feelings, the non-verbal language of feelings, is the language that the kids know first. They even know it in a way when they are still, before they are actually born, they know how the mother feels, what the emotions are. And when they are born, they get you in this way. So, for example, if you are, let's say, if you're in a full stress and you have a 1-year-old baby at home and you're full stress because your job or whatever has happened, and if you are in the stress and you try to have the idea that the kid needs peace and quietness, then it makes no sense to go to the child in this way and tell the child that you should sleep now or something, or you should be calm and everything's okay. If you are like shaky, the kid will immediately react and shows you your expression. And the way of communicating with the child is, first place, to have this kind of empathy and self-awareness that you are in the moment in stress and that you need probably some kind of peace inside. And if you get in contact with this and maybe get it even, then the child will understand it in an unconscious way and will react on this in this way. When the kids are younger than 3, it's very important to use language, not that the kid can understand it consciously, but that the kid can understand that language is a way to make yourself understandable. And there are different words that you can use. Some words that you use, they help you to be understood, and some words, they don't help. And the more the kids learn from what you show them, the more it will learn this kind of language. This is helpful for them. When the kid comes older, like in the age from 3 to 6, language is developed already. So they are finding their own language. They are finding the way how to express themselves. And in that age, it's even more important the way how you talk to the child. And here comes something which is to me very, very, very important, is the question, where do you put the because in your sentence? So, for example, when you say something like, I'm angry because you didn't tidy up your room, or I'm sad because you used bad words, or I'm happy because you brushed your teeth, then I give the responsibility for what what my feelings are to the child. And this is a very simple example for this, where the creation of this Czech language comes from. Because when you use this pattern longer, I feel because you did, then, and if you have it inside, and I have it inside, because this is the way I was brought up, if this is my usually pattern, I give all the responsibility for my feelings to other people. I'm sad because my wife did. I'm angry because the government did. I'm happy because the sun shines. All these things. So the responsibility for the reason for my feelings are outside. And what we do in nonviolent communication is we keep this responsibility to us by shifting this word because from the place where it is between the feelings and the observation to the place where it is between the feelings and the needs. So that means you tidied up your room, but I feel whatever. I feel probably happy because my need for support, for community, for ease, for whatever is fulfilled. And so when you talk, and in particular when you work with kids of that age, to me it's so important to give the child this idea of who's responsible for feelings and who's responsible for the feelings, and who's not just responsible but who has a chance to change something. Because if I have the idea you're responsible for something, you have to change. If I have the idea that my needs are connected to the feelings, I can have a look at these needs and find out how can I change it. This comes more important when the kids are around about the age of 5, which is the age where they say that this the time when values are getting more important and integrity. So this is the age when the kids find out what is good and what is bad, what is right and what is wrong. And when you have, this is the time when kids love, for example, reading tales, fantasy stuff. And for the most kids, like me, I was grown up with the idea there's good and bad, and there's the good white and the bad black, and the black man will come and do something, and all these ideas of judgments. And so they say that at that time the kids need this kind of finding a place in the world and finding a way of dividing it, but they do not have to divide into right and wrong or good and bad. They can also divide in terms of nonviolent communication in things, in ideas, in behavior that fulfills needs or does not fulfill needs. So we have this key differentiation in nonviolent communication. We do judge in a way, but we do not judge in terms of moral or moralistic intentions, but we judge in terms of fulfills needs or not. And if we explain kids this differentiation, then, and not just explain but show them also, they find a total different way of how they can find their place in the world, which is sometimes not so easy for parents, because when I remember when we started this, the kids very often came to us and asked us, why do we divide people into this and that? Because they see it totally different. Yeah. So that was quite a long speech, and now I would love to have any kind of feedback if that is technically possible. Who heard me? And who wants to say something about it? Nobody heard me. Oh.
Here's Vladimir again. I try again. We hear you with Lucy, but I'm afraid you don't hear us.
Now I can hear you.
Can you hear us? Yes, great. So, yes, this is great. And We can hear you. So maybe if you could continue with a bit older kids still, because we are interested especially in age between 5th and 10th year.
Mhm.
And situations in school.
Yes. Yes.
Maybe before we continue, we can give chance to other people to express to this first part. You can do it or by unmuting your microphone, or you can write it in the chat.
Okay. Seems to be no. So I continue. Before I continue, I would like to go to go one step back. Is just to get along with the idea of finding out what are the main needs in what age, in a certain age, and to me, and for me, it's important that when we talk about very young children, like newborn babies, toddlers, this is a time, in my understanding, that kids the needs that the kids have in the first place is really, first of all, to be welcome in this world, to be welcome, to be really invited, to be a gift, and that everything they get comes out of love, if possible, and on the same time, it's so important for the kids at that age. Of course, they need protection, shelter, and so on. And what they need also is guidance, is structure, is orientation. When I have these parenting workshops, very often the parents tell me that the need of autonomy and freedom and individuality is so wonderful, and I totally accept this. And they do all the things that kids have their freedom and freedom of choice. And what they sometimes forget is how important it is to have the structure and orientation too, maybe even more at the beginning. There is Goethe, the German poet. He once said, what kids really need is roots and wings. And in my understanding, what they need first is roots, and then they need wings. Because if you don't have these roots, it's so hard to fly. It's more chaotic when you fly them. So, in the first place, I love to support parents to give the children this kind of structure and order and idea of how life is going. And then when they're coming older, like 3 and 6, it's still a time when the kids need a lot of this, and they start with this autonomy and get their own way of doing something. And now I'm coming to the question from Vladimir, when they're getting older, like they're coming from 7 to around about 10, 11 years old, so before they enter puberty, what they need is, the main needs that they have is, of course, it's movement and so on. And it's a lot of learning. I mean, they have so much learning before. The most things kids are learning, they learn it in the first 3 or 4 years. But in that time, it's really they're sucking everything in what is possible to learn. And it's so hard for me to see sometimes that the kids, when they enter the schools, how much they want to learn, and how much they want to learn, and how much it is great for them to learn, and how disappointed they are very short after they enter the school that they do not get what they want to learn. They only get what they have to learn. And this is really hard to see. And then after a very short time, some of them do not want to go to school anymore, which is unbelievable because this is the greatest time for learning. Hold on, there's a question from Christina. Hello, I wanted to ask a question, but my computer or myself is too slow. I like the way you explained the importance of where you gave the because thing. I would really like to hear some examples how you can do it without giving responsibility for the feelings of it. Okay. I take this question, and I just finished what I want to say about the kids and the from about 7 to 11, and then I will answer this question. Yeah?
Technical request. Please, everybody make sure that your icon of microphone is orange. That means that you are unmute. That you are mute, because if your microphone is on, there are sounds, so it's better to turn it off. Thank you.
Okay. Right. So this is something that the kids at that age, they are Vladimir. I think there's sound coming from your computer because I see blue things coming out of your. Yeah. Thank you very much. So what did I want to say? Yeah. At that time of this is a time for the kids where they are still connected to the families. The main the main connection, the main need for the belonging, the main the main ways of how to get these belongings fulfilled are connected to the family, and of course to friends already, and to football clubs and so on. If they are entering the puberty, a lot of things are changing, and this is a time for change, a time for change for the family system and the orientation, where and when they want to get the needs fulfilled from. And this is a time when there are probably a lot of conflicts there as well, because very often the parents are hanging on different structures and strategies, and the kids want to have new ones. But to have new ones means, in the first place, I know what I do not want to have before I find out what I want to have. And this is the time where the conflicts are usually quite big. It's more or less the same than when the kids are around about 3. This is another age where they know what they not want, but they do not know what they want and how to get it. By the way, when people are getting around about 40, between 40 and 50, this age comes again where you know what you not want and do not really know what you want. Yeah, so these are different ways of seeing the kids, and what to me was important in my work with NVC was always and is always to use this model of nonviolent communication, which is in the first place to me a model which is working between adults, because there we have this more or less the same possibility of talking, the same language, the same amount of words, the same understanding, and we usually have more or less the same responsibility for what we can do, and the same connection to resources. So we can decide if we go this way or not, and you have this you have this need, and I have this need. We can find ways how we can do it together, or you can go your way, I can go my way for a short way or for a whole way. We can even split up. This can be a non-violent way of finding this solution. If we're having children, it's different, because they have not the possibility to do their own decision making. They have not the same way of getting in contact with resources. They cannot decide where they spend the holidays when they are 3 years old. sometimes parents ask them, what do you want, where do you want to go to? But in fact, the decision making will hopefully do the parents, not the child at that age. Okay, so now I would like to answer I hope, Vladimir, this gives you some answers, and I would like to go to Christina's question about the because thing. I would really like to hear some examples how you can do it without giving responsibility for the fear away. Very good question. It's not easy. It's really not easy. The reason why it's not so easy is, I mean, tell you the truth, this is really for me, one of the strongest bits for me, because it's so different to what I learned in my whole life. And when I see my parents, I love my parents. But still, when I see how they communicate and how they are together, they are so much in the idea that my mom makes my daddy happy and my daddy makes my mom happy, and we make my parents happy, and all these things. So it's so connected to this. And so the first way of getting rid of this giving responsibility for my feelings is really to have this probably self-empathy process that we do, really to connect with my feelings. My feelings are something that's expressing something from me and not from you. So my feeling is, so the first thing is, when we talk about a feeling, it is something that I feel and not something that I think. So for example, when I say, I feel sad, this sadness is an expression of some physical sensations I have. They are inside me. I can feel the sadness in my shoulders, in my tummy, in my chest, on all different places in my body. I can feel this sadness, and so this sadness is in me. If I have the idea, it's my feelings are, I think I feel something, then it's only something that is a creation in my brain. And there is usually something that we call anger, which is an expression of my thoughts about more or less about you. But if I get in contact with me, I'm much more connected to my feelings that are in me. And when I'm connected to this, what happens in me, I can much easier get connected with what I need in this moment. And the things that I need are again something which is connected to me, because when I'm sad, I need what I need. Maybe some peace, some hope. Sometimes I need connection. Sometimes I need love. Sometimes I need appreciation. And so this is first of all in me, and then I can have the idea, where can I get it from? And it can be the child, it can be the partner, but it must not be. There are different people who can do it, and I'm one too. And this process is going along with me if I am in this, I call it trend, right? If I am in this center, and this is something I can explain my children. In particular, when I'm let's say in a good mood, to express this, the because is in me and not the because is because of you, makes so much sense and so much is so understandable for children when you talk, for example, about so-called good feelings. I give you an example. One of the things that kids do in Germany, and I guess they do it in the Czech Republic or wherever you come from, they do it probably too, is when they are around about 3 or 4 years old, they are painting pictures. And the pictures, they look they call it Kopffüßler, head. You only see a head and feet in the beginning, and they have a way of drawing a tree and drawing a house and sometimes drawing a car. And they painted this picture, and then they show you the picture. And when you say something, "Wow, I'm happy because because you have such a wonderful picture," then the kids will be happy, and it will turn to his room or to his table, and he will copy the picture. You can really take this picture and take the next one, and you can see the picture. All the pictures look more or less the same, because what the kids learn in this situation is, I can make mommy happy, which is wonderful, because this fulfills the need of contribution for the child, and the kid loves to contribute. So what the kid does is, it will copy the first picture and tries to paint the same thing again. And then you probably say something like, "Wow, what a nice picture, wonderful," and the kid goes and copies the picture. And the kid does it about 50 times until you say something like, "Yeah, you know, the trees and the poor trees and all the papers come from the trees, and we want to save the forests and do something different, play with your puppets," something like this. So if you want to change this, and you don't want to spend all these papers with all the same pictures on it, it can be wonderful to stay in the same energy. It's wonderful to give this appreciation to children, to give this kind of feedback to the child. How can you contribute to my life? And at the same time, don't give the reason for your feelings, in that case, for your positive feelings, to this picture, to this painting. So what you can do is, the child comes and tells you, "Wow, look at my picture." You can do something which is on the first place is, you can talk about with the child what is on this picture. Something like when you start with curiosity and ask the child, what did you express by painting the picture? And the child has some time to talk and to share all his joy and all his interests in this picture. And you can also share what you see in this picture. So you share about your observation and the child's observation and see the differences. And then, of course, you can share your feelings. And it's helpful to connect these feelings very fast to your need instead of to the picture. So you can say, "Wow, when I see this house on this picture, I'm happy because it so much reminds me on the house that we've been in our holiday, and I feel so much ease and joy in me when remembering that we were there and that we had such a good time in our family there. Thank you." And ending this kind of feedback, this appreciation with a thank you, ends this for the first place. So the kid has the feedback in the moment to know, wow, this if I do this can be a contribution to the family, and at the same time, I do not have to continue doing this all the time. I do not have to go back and copy my paintings. I can do something different too, and of course I can paint. So this was a longish answer, and I hope this answers something for Christina. And for everybody who can see me, I would like to stick on this, what I said about the observation, and starting with the child on asking what is on the picture, can be helpful, because sometimes it can be, it's interesting to see what is there, and helpful, and gives us some information. Like, for example, this picture. I don't know, some of you can hopefully see this. For the one who can see it, what is this? Da-da-da-dum.
An elephant in a snake.
Ooh, Adam! Yes, yeah, can be. How do you know?
Or maybe it's a hat.
Or maybe it's a hill, or maybe it's a submarine. Maybe it's just a line with some brown things in it, and you don't know what it is. And so, for me, when we talk to adults, I very often have the idea that we all see the same things, that we all have the same observation. And that comes because we have more or less the same background. So all the patterns that we have learned in our life, all the information that we got, brings us to have this similar observation. But if you talk to children, particularly when they're younger, or of course, if we talk to children who come from a different area, from a different tradition, like from Syria, from wherever, they have totally different experiences in their life, and they probably see different things. I guess Adam will see the elephant and the snake in this picture because he read The Little Prince one day. But if you talk to a 3-year-old, well, he will see something totally different. And to get in this contact with this curiosity, to find out what do you see, what does it mean for you? What is it telling about yourself when you paint a house, and when you want me to see that you painted a house? What do you express about yourself in that way? Is a fantastic way to get in contact and to support the child to get along with the idea, I am important, I'm welcome. Yeah. I had, yeah. Are there any more questions? Or any feedback?
It can be also in Czech, we can translate.
Oh, yeah. It can be also in German, I can translate too.
Může to být i česky nebo německy, si to vzájemně přeložíme.
Oh, if not, there's one more thing I would like to share about observation, which is to me one of the things that are that are again and again happening, in particular for parents or people who are working with children. And this will be one of the issues that I will offer in this IIT too. The question, what does it have to do with me? So what we do in nonviolent communication is, as you probably know, we have these 4 ingredients of NVC: observation, feeling, needs, and requests. And sometimes people have the idea that in nonviolent communication, we do not judge, we do not diagnose, we do not we do not do all these, we do not have any interpretation. What we only do is we have this observation, and starting with the observation, I tell you my feelings and needs. And this is, very often, this is very helpful to go this way. And at the same time, and to me in particular, when I talk to children, if I talk to my children in puberty, it's not the observation that I'm talking about, it's something different. And it's helpful to acknowledge this, the things that are going along, instead of trying to put it down in observation. So I give you an example. The example is, let's say I'm coming home from work, and I open the main door, main entrance, and when I open the main entrance, there are a couple of shoes laying there. There's maybe a German problem. I don't know if you know what I'm talking about. So there are a couple of shoes laying there, and of course my Jekyll idea is these shoes are annoying me. There's a responsibility for my mood, for my feelings that comes up now is the shoes are responsible, not the shoes themselves. It's the daughters behind the shoes. They are responsible, and this is going very fast in me, and my reaction is loud, I would say. And to change this, and it's easy to change it in a way because my kids give me more or less every day a possibility to exercise on this. And so I can try different things by doing it louder, and not so loud, in different ways. And one day I can try another way. And therefore it's helpful to start with the observation. Because when I enter this house, when I enter the entrance, the first thing is I see these shoes. So let's say there are 10 pair of shoes. 10 pair of shoes itself is not a problem. I can handle it. I handled so many things in my life that 10 pair of shoes is not the biggest problem of my life. I can just step over it, or I can move them, or I can throw them away, or whatever. I can work with this. But what is happening is I do not see 10 pairs of shoes. What I see is, in that situation, is the film that is going in my brain, starts in my brain immediately. And it lasts only about 1 millisecond, but it's a full film. And the film shows me all the shoes that I have seen in my whole life. So I have seen not these 10 pair of shoes, I've seen days and days, months and years of shoes laying there in this entrance. And it's a mountain of shoes. And then immediately the other film starts. It's the future film that shows me all the shoes that will lay there for the next 20 years. And along with this film, there go all these ideas that are connected to this film. So I see the shoes, and I see the million of shoes laying there, and I see that my daughters, they will never ever tidy up again, and it will be a mess. They will end up in a mess, and if they do not tidy up the shoes, they will not do anything structured in their life, so they will probably never finish the school. They will never go to university. They will end up under the bridge. Nobody will marry them. And they will stay in my house for the next 40 years. And I will end up with millions and millions of shoes with my daughters. And this film, it only lasts for a millisecond. But this is the film that creates, that builds up all the energy that leads to the feelings and then disconnected needs. And it does not make any sense to have the idea that my child will see the same film than I see. It cannot see it. In terms of observation, the child thinks we are talking about shoes. But I'm talking about the life of my children, which is ending up under the bridge. And this is very hard to understand for children in the age of 3, for example, or in the age of 10 or 15. So if this is my film, it makes sense to take it serious. It does not make sense to say, yeah, it's just a film, but in fact we're talking about shoes. It makes sense to see this film, and therefore it makes sense to find somebody who is able to understand me with this film. And this is, in particular, this can be me in terms of doing the self-empathy process. It can be my partner. I can go to my wife. She has probably the same films than I have, so we can share about this. And or she can even say, hold on, look, yes, I know you have this film in the moment, but it's not that realistic. Or even, yes, if that is your film, so how do you feel and what's your need? How can this change? What kind of trust do you need that you can really see only the shoes and not the whole life? And how can you put your focus on other things too? So therefore, sometimes I need some help. And on the same time to see that these interpretation and judgments, they guide me to the real feelings and the real needs I have. And this is sometimes quite a long process. Sometimes this is very much connected to sentences of belief I have. Sometimes it's connected to some traumas, maybe some early childhood traumas I got. All these things that telling something about myself, telling something about me, where my patterns are coming from. And this is actually something I love to work on when we are on this IIT or in other trainings, is how can we really find out what is alive in me, where does it come from, instead of having the idea my kid has to change something so that my life can change. Here comes another question, a question which I have been discussing with some friend teachers. How can I, as a teacher, be a natural authority to 14 to 15-year-old kids, even if I sometimes strongly disagree with classical schooling systems I represent, Marx, and whose outlines I am supposed to follow? How NVC practice can be used in this case? Oh yeah, I like this question. How can be a natural authority to 14 to 15-year-old kids? Woohoo! There are a couple of answers on this. First answer. When I worked in the school for 10 years, the headmaster of the school, he once said, kids in the age from around about 15 to 16, they really should not go to school, because what they want in that time, they want to find out how life is, and school is not working in life is not really working in school, because in school learning and education works, and life should be outside. That's what teachers usually want the kids to do. Like you can talk to the others outside, leave your mobile phones outside, and so on. But at that age, it's so from their biology, from everything that's in them. This is the age where they really want to discover their world, their own world. They want to discover it. They want to discover life. They want to discover girls, boys, all these things. That is what they want to discover. And there's no way of keeping it outside of the school, only with a lot of punishments and so on, and marks, of course, but it's still not working. So what the kids do is they take life into school. And so that's what we call authority usually, is there are teachers who are having a lot of punishments and marks and things like this, who are working to keep the kids quiet. And so they still do not do what the teacher wants to do, because usually they still do not learn actually, but they just at least do as if they would be quiet, something like this. And but then what happens is that kind of the energy in the kid is growing. It's like, so we have, in Germany, we have 45 minutes for an hour of a lesson. And if you are in the higher school system, you have every hour you have a different teacher. Like you have a mathematics teacher, and then you have a Latin teacher, an English teacher, music, and so on. And very often the authority is in a way connected to the lesson they give. And So if you are, for example, if you are a Latin teacher, then you have a good chance to be, in this understanding, to be an authority by keeping the kids very, very calm and functional by using punishments and so on. So the kids stay 45 minutes, they stay very, very calm. And then the next teacher comes, like sports, like art, like music, like something which is in the main understanding of the regular school system not so important. And what the kids do is they have all this energy in them, and this bursts out very strong. And this very often this is destroying the lesson from this next teacher coming. So the reason why there is so much tension in them is because they had to be quiet for 1 hour. And if you go in there now and you have the idea you want to have them working, you have them function, very often the teachers copy this strategies of punishment and so on to keep them for another hour calm, and this can work too. And then the next, and then you have a break, and then you have the violence and other stuff in there. Another way of being an authority, a natural authority, can really be get rid of this idea of punishing the kids, and you can find a way of doing it. Just remember your own school history, when you went to school, when you were a child, and just remember what was the teacher or the teachers where you learned most, where you really had the idea, well, I like to learn, and this was interesting for me. This is something that yeah, even if I'm not good in this, but yeah, I wanted to do it. How were these teachers? And when I remember the teachers where I learned most from, these were teachers who were not working with all these punishments and all these marks, who were, in the first place, human beings, who showed themselves as being a human being, with feelings, with needs, with all these things, showing, yes, I'm a human being, and I want to that we can create this lesson here, and on the same time, I want to offer you something, because the kids are in school for learning, and if you offer it to them and show that you are a human being and they are human beings too, then this can be a kind of authority where they want to listen to you. Of course, it can help that after you have this lesson, after the Latin teacher who's classical authority, and sometimes you need just 5 to 10 minutes break to have some kind of jokes and plays and movements, so that this energy get rid of the kids, and then you can go back to this. I guess you do not. It can work. You can make kids, pupil functional by using all these competition marks and punishments and rewards. Of course, it can work. Sorry. It works that they are quiet, but it will not work that they are really learning something. Learning in terms of keeping an interest in certain things. So this is very general what I said. How can NVC practice can be useful in this case? So again, first of all, get clarity how you feel and express it openly. There are a lot of fears that as teachers they cannot show themselves. It would be dangerous to express feelings. Of course, if you only express a feeling that is, I am scared or I am sad, if this is the only expression you have, then it's very hard for the kids to deal with this, because if you as an adult, as kind of the leader of this group, if you express this feeling without saying your need, and in particular without putting a request on it, the kids have the idea, that's what they learn, exactly the way that I have learned it, that I'm responsible for your sadness. And so the kids will try something, or and if it will not help, they turn the other way around and say, all right, I'm not responsible, I can do whatever I want, he's still scared, angry or something, so I give up. So what we can do is we can show us as human beings, we can show us in all the feelings, in all the needs, and with a lot of requests. What can the kids, what can the pupil do right in the moment to support me, and give them a living example in this way to show themselves. And of course, this is not something that you can do from one second to the other. This is not something that you can say, all right, now I'm up to last year, I was always, up to yesterday, I was always using marks in competition and punishment, and now I do the NVC way, and now everything will change. This is not working, because the kids do not trust you. And in fact, very often the kids do not trust your role, even if you are a good one. They will still see you as a teacher and compare you to other teachers. And therefore it takes some time to go with this. Right, Adam, did I answer something from your questions?
Yes, thanks. Like pretty well for me. It works.
Thank you very much. Here comes a new question from Dieter. Hello, Frank. I would love to know more about your program, Giraffentraum. What are the principles, and how can you such things demonstrate or teach small children? Playing with puppets, games, creating something, how do they catch it? Is there a longer time for your influence? Do you work directly with the children in the classes, or do you work with the same level with their teachers? Thank you in advance. Dieter, yes. Yeah, something about the program. The program. How do I start? What are the principles? Okay, so the project is has a couple of parts in it, and the first part, how the project starts, is that we as trainers, and we means it's me, my wife, but also we have meanwhile in Europe around about 250 multipliers bring this program to kindergartens and similar institutions. So well, how we start is that we invite nonviolent communication to the teachers of the kindergarten. We usually give a kind of 2-day training so that they get connected with the principals, that they have some role plays, some interaction, some ways of trying out what it is, and in particular to get in contact with the consciousness behind it, how they see the kids, now of course how they see themselves, and how they also see parents. After these 2 days, the team can decide if they want to continue with this or not. And most of the times they decided to continue and to find out how can we bring now these new ideas to the children. And therefore, in the program, we have a story, which is that there is a giraffe baby which is found in the kindergarten, or actually in every group of the kindergarten. And so sometimes if you have 4 groups in the kindergarten, you have 4 babies. They're there on the same time. Doesn't matter. And the babies are little puppets. I don't have one here in the moment, fortunately. So you have this little puppet, and it's a baby. And a baby means it's the smallest, the youngest part, the youngest member of this group now, and at the same time the most incompetent member of the group. Incompetent is not really a judgment. It's an expression of having less competences as all the other kids. So that means, in fact, that even if you are 2 years old, let's say if they are 4 years old, coming from a different country, speaking just a few German words, and so on, you have more competences than the baby, because the baby cannot speak at all. So this gives all the kids this kind of idea or self-esteem to be in the place where you can, in particular, where you can give, where you can show yourself in your competences. And so this is the baby. The baby is there, and we start with, I have them here. We start with observation. And the observation is, and here we go, we try, it's about a period of around about 10 days, where we means the teacher of the kindergarten. So it's not, unfortunately, not me. I'm not, because I'm as a trainer, usually as a man, I'm so exotic in kindergartens that they would do probably a lot of things, but this would not really affect it. The effect is more that the staff of the kindergarten, the teachers, do something with the kids, so that there's a lot of learning for the kids, but much more learning for the staff itself, because they can use their new competences and get this feedback, see how this works, and learn a lot from the kids, and learn about the kids. So they start with observation, and it's a little bit about how do you find the difference between an observation and the judgment, an observation and an interpretation. Like, for example, if the staff asks if they see the little giraffe, and then they ask something about, what do you see there? And then they say, yeah, it's a giraffe, and it has a short neck, and you can see, right, not very, not in a guiding way, not in a it's more like a little bit asking. So you have the idea it's a short neck. What means short for you? So short is like this, or short is like this, or like this. What is short? And if you see this is short for me and this is short for you, it's helpful to talk about what does it really mean for you. And when you see all the other kids, it's different. And you can also ask, what's the difference between to short and so the difference is long. So what is long? Long is this. What is long? And so they get an idea of these are things that we talk about, and these are things that are judgments or measurements or comparing things. And you can also say, sometimes the kids say the giraffe is sweet. It's not. If you lick on it, it's not sweet. It's actually, it doesn't taste very good. And this can be helpful because kids at that age, they start to say, yeah, the other girl, she's nice and she's silly and she's dumb and she's blah blah. And so it's helpful to find out what is it? What is it? What makes her silly for you? What makes her sweet for you? What makes it nice for you? and all these things. So they find out things about observation. And then we go on the next day or next couple of days later, it depends. We go to feelings, and we talk with the kids about feelings, what feelings they know and how do they express feelings. And it's very funny because when you ask the kids, for example, how do you express anger, they have a very clear way of expressing anger. So maybe for you, whenever you have seen a let's say a 4-year-old one expressing anger, do you have any idea how he or she would express anger? If not, just go to a supermarket, go very close to the place where you find all the sweets. Wait until one parent tells a 3 or 4-year-old one, no, you don't get chocolate, and then you can see how anger looks like for a 4-year-old. You can easily guess how he feels. And so you can join this and invite all the kids to express how do they express certain feelings like anger, sadness, and so on. And of course, the adults can show it too, because when they show how do adults express their anger, for example, it looks very often totally different. Like I show you, an adult expressing anger. So if you express anger like this, and is interesting for the child, because the child at that age compares his own pattern for anger with a pattern of the parents or of the adults. And if you express your anger by smiling, it will not help, because the kid would not understand what you're talking about. So this can be a good way of expressing and showing the learning for the kids, and of course for the staff too, how different we express these feelings and all the feelings. And going back to the giraffe means that we invite the giraffe too to express the feelings and how we can see this. And then we go to the needs and find out what the needs are for the babies, and then we can find out what the needs of the kids are too, and how different they express it. What's the difference between a need and a strategy, for example? Because they will find out that babies need, for example, food as a need, and then they eat milk and different baby food stuff, and because the kids are big now, they also have a need for food, but they eat spaghetti and pizza and all this stuff. So we continue, then we go to the request, and when we come to request, the kids will find out that the baby needs a mother. A mother is not really a need, but it's a kind of a word that covers a lot of needs for babies, and so they try to find out how to get this mother now. And of course, the first idea will be they ask you as the teacher, can you bring me the baby? And because that's what they learned, that the adults are fulfilling the kids' needs. And the interesting thing is when the staff gives this responsibility, the ability, the competence back to the children, and ask them, oh yes, I have no idea. I mean, I don't know how to bring a giraffe in the kindergarten, and you probably don't know either. I don't know how often you brought a giraffe mama in the kindergarten. So we all are new in this thing, and we can find out how this works, and we can ask the kids for their competences and how they can really get this, and then they find a way, and they will find this giraffe's mama coming in this kindergarten, and then this is the part of the program that the mom will tell, would be happy that she now has a baby again, and she will tell the kids about her dream. That's the reason why it's called Giraffe's Dream. And she tells about the kids that she has a dream that the kids are in this kindergarten, that they are talking to each other, listening to each other, expressing their feelings and supporting each other, in particular when they have conflicts, and that they would like to show how this works. And usually the kids are very interesting to follow this. And so in the next steps, which goes for quite a long time, the kids will learn together with the staff how to go through conflicts by using language. By using the 4 steps of nonviolent communication in this thing, how they actually go through mediation process. At the end, but the end does not mean that the program itself ends, because once NVC is implemented in the kindergarten, it will stay unless the staff will continue with this. So they will really learn how to use language, how to use these 4 steps to go through conflicts, like the other one has taken my toy away, or they were saying names to me, and they did not let me sit beside my friends, and all these terrible things. And they will find conflict solution methods that they can use without needing adults to support them. And this is a fantastic learning for them. It gives them a lot of, they call it resilience, which means they give them strength for if they are in changing processes, like, for example, going to school afterwards. And so they find a lot of ways. And what's interesting is that very often the kids, when they are involved in this process, they go to their parents, and sometimes they ask parents when they start having an argument with each other. Then sometimes the kids are coming and say, "All right, Mom, so please, what is it what you really want? And Daddy, what is it what you heard Mama saying?" And this is sometimes annoying for parents, and sometimes making them very curious. So they very often come to the trainers, to us or to others, and ask, "Can we have a parenting training too?" And that's what we offer them, and tell parents how to do this. So I hope I answered a lot of Dieter's questions. Dieter, was that answering something for you? Thank you. Okay, we have now 6 minutes to the end of this webinar, as we have planned it. It's not exactly the way we have planned this webinar. It was more like it was planned like a dialogue thing, so it was more a monologue thing. Oh, Dieter said, "I cannot speak. That's why I write." Okay, Dieter, I can read you. Yeah. So we have more this monologue. If you want to come to the IIT, and I would be really happy to meet you there physically and see you there, and then we can have a lot of things about dealing with children. Of course, dealing with inner children too. I mean, lots of parts of me are telling me the same things that they told me when I was 3 years old, and I'm still sitting in these things. So we can also deal with them, with a lot of other things too. And at the end, I would like to share one sentence with you that I heard the other day, and this is still touching me in a way. The sentence is that it's a quote. It says, I can read it. "This is the way the world changes. Good people raising babies right." a lot of judgments in this sentence, or a lot of possibilities for judgments. But what it means to me is that I have such a longing and such a pleasure to support people, to really to work with this, and to find this community of people, of parents, of teachers, of people working in education, who really want to give the most beautiful thing that we have to our children, to support them in creating this new world. And this is something I really love to do. Right. Okie dokie. So now there's something new in the chat. To everybody, I read it. Informatie o treníku da. Okay, I think it was better than this.
So I think maybe I can speak in Czech, right? So thank you, díky. Thank you very much, Frank. So that this is not in Czech. Thank you very much that you were able to speak and getting just silence or written questions. I think it has to be a difficult connection, but me personally, I enjoy it. And to everybody, thanks for that you have joined and spent the time with us. And on the web page, I send it to the chat. You can find more information about the training and also about other webinars. I think the next one will be in 2 weeks with Kathleen McFerrin. That's all, I think. Is there something more to say?
Yeah, something I would like to share. I have something that connects me very much with the Czech Republic. And this is this photo. Oh, here it is. Can you see it? And this is my family, actually. This is hold on. This is this. Yeah, this is me. This is Gundi, and this is Marie. And we are. Do you know where we are?
No idea.
Oh, this is the John Lennon Wall in Prague. Yay! Yeah, that was a good time there. Yeah, so we will meet us all in near Bruno one day.
So thank you very much and have a nice evening.
Thank you very much for hosting this. That was great. And I'm looking forward to see the recording. Goodbye, everybody. Enjoy your life with children, wherever you are. Bye-bye.